Okay, so for these notes, we're going to talk about factoring with the GCF. First, we have to know what a GCF is. So a GCF is the biggest number that will go into each term. So when we think of 3 and 15, 3, the only numbers that go into 3 are 1 and 3. 15, 1 goes into it, 3 goes into it, 5 and 15. And so the biggest number is 3. And so the GCF for 3 and 15 is 3. For 12, our factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. For 28, our factors are 1, 2, 4, 7, 14, and 28. And so our biggest number is 4. Another way you can find GCFs, if you're not really good with knowing what goes into it, is you could do a factor tree. And so for a factor tree, 12, I usually start with 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 is prime, so I'm not going to break it down anymore. 6 is made up of 2 and 3. And then for 28, 2 goes into 28 14 times. 2 goes into 14 7 times. And so what you do here is you notice I have a 2 here and a 2 here. I have a 2 here and a 2 here. And so because I have those matching, that's my GCF, 2 times 2, because they're in both of them. And so my GCF is 4. So if you're not good at knowing what your multiples are, you can use a factor tree to find out. All right, so you have to have the biggest number in each one. Okay, so for this one, 4 and 10, the biggest number that goes into each one is 2. But let's look down here what happens. This one has 1x. This one has 2 x's. Remember, it has to have the same in each one. And so for this one, I have 1x here and 1x here. So that means I can only take out 1x. Okay, when we look at this next one, 20 and 24, 2 goes into both of them, but there's a bigger number, and that bigger number is 4. I'm going to show the x's one more time, writing them out. So this one has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one has 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you have to have the same in each one. So for this one, I can highlight 4. And this one, I can also highlight 4. So if you notice the pattern, the GCF is the smaller number of variables. So this one here on the left had 1x and 2 x's, so I took out the smaller number. I can take out 1. Over here, I had 4 x's and 7 x's, so I take out the smaller amount, which is the most I can take out of both, so I get 4. So it's 4x to the 4th. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and see if you could do these last two, if you want to pause the video, and then come back and press play when you think you have it. So the GCF for the numbers between 14 and 22 is 2. I have 2 x's and 3 x's, so the most I can take out is 2. I have 4 y's and 2 y's, so the most I can take out is 2. All right, here, 8 and 20. The biggest number you should have gotten was 4. Now we look at the A's. I have 3 A's, and it doesn't say a number, but you see 1A there. So that means the most I could take out is 1A. I got a B and 3 B's, so the most I could take out is 1B. And I have 4 C's and 2 C's, so the most I could take out is 2. So the only other thing that I want to make sure is sometimes you're going to have 3 things, and so let's do one with 3. So let's do 12, 8, and 30. So 12, I know I have a 2, 2, and 3. 8, is 2, 2, and 2. 30 is 2, 3, and 5. So this one, it might help. It's kind of up to you how you want to do it. But 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. 30 is 5 times 6, but 6 can break it down to 2 times 3. So you have to have the same thing in each one. They each have a 2. But is there anything else that they each have? These top two have another 2, but this bottom one doesn't have another 2. The top and bottom one have a 3, but the middle one doesn't have a 3. So really your GCF for this is just 2. Okay, so now that you kind of understand, or you got a refresher on how to find a GCF, now let's look and see for using it with. For factoring out. Essentially, factoring out is just doing the opposite of the distributive property. Remembering the distributive property, x minus 3, you're going to do 2 times x and 2 times 3. And so this time we're going backwards. So I look, what can I take out of a 5x squared and a 20x? What's the GCF? Well, the GCF is 5 with an x. So that goes in front. And so I know I'm taking out a 5x of both of them. Some people like to write it here underneath because then they kind of visualize it and see it better. 5 divided by 5 is 1. I had 2 x's, but I took 1 out, so I'm left with 1x. Bring down my plus sign. 20 divided by 5 is 4. I had an x, but I took the x out, so that's the answer. You also could have just written it 5x, x plus 4. Both of those are acceptable. All right, so when we look at this next one, I factor out the GCF. The biggest number that goes into 12 and into 18 is 6. But here's the thing. Whenever this front number is negative, I always want to take out a negative. So that means the negative 6 goes in front of the parentheses, and I'm going to divide both of these things by negative 6. Negative 12 divided by negative 6 is a positive 2x. Negative 18 divided by negative 6 is a positive 3. But again, whenever the first number is negative, I want you to factor out a negative. All right, so for this next one, the GCF between 4 and 2 is 2. The first one has 2 x's, the second one only has 1 x, so the most I could take out is 1. But remember, this first thing's negative, so we're going to take out a negative. So I'm going to take out a negative 2x, and so I'm going to divide each of those by negative 2x. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is a positive 2. I had 2 x's, but I took 1 out, so I'm left with 1. And then 2 divided by negative 2 is a negative 1. And then the x's are gone. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and try the next 3 on your own? And when you think you have them all, press play so you can check your work. Okay, so for the first one, your GCF should be 5. So I'm going to divide both of those things by 5. And I get 5 parentheses 3x plus 5. Okay, for number 2. My GCF is negative 4, and you notice I didn't write GCF. You don't have to write that, but some people like to. But I'm going to stop doing that. And then I'm going to divide both of them by negative 4. And here's the last one. The GCF was 3x. And so 3x squared divided by 3x is just an x. And 24x divided by 3x is 8. So remember, to find a GCF, you can either list them out like I did on these first couple and find the biggest number, or you could do factor trees. You have to do whatever is easiest for you.